Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking some truly fascinating and, well, honestly, kind of uncomfortable research from the dark archive. We're looking at the deep, hidden psychology of wealth. Why are some people seemingly just wired for incredible financial success, while others endlessly self-sabotage without even realizing it? We're going to break down the hard science, the mental programming, and the uncomfortable truths about why we do exactly what we do with our money.
Let's jump right into this with one of the absolutely most shocking hooks from the source material. The difference between you and a millionaire is not opportunity. It's the psychological programming you received before you were 12 years old. Wild, right? I mean, most of us really want to believe that if we just get the right break, land that perfect job, or hit the right investment, everything's going to change. But this research forces us to confront a much darker reality. Your financial fate might have actually been sealed before you even hit middle school.
So there's actually a super specific timeline to how this mental programming happens. From age 0 to 7, you're essentially a giant sponge. You're just absorbing the money habits, the stress, the arguments, or maybe the total ease surrounding wealth in your household. Then, from age 7 to 12, all those loose observations, they crystallize into permanent financial beliefs. By the time you reach adulthood, you aren't actually making free, conscious financial choices. You're literally just executing that unconscious programming over and over again. It's like you're acting out a script that someone else wrote for you when you were just a kid.
Part 1. Unconscious sabotage, rejecting wealth. Seriously, ask yourself this question. Why do you reject what you claim to desire? On a conscious level, everyone says they want wealth, right? Everyone wants financial freedom, but here's the kicker. If your subconscious was programmed with a script that says wealth is dangerous or greedy or simply not for people like us, your brain will actively work against your conscious goals. Your conscious desires mean absolutely nothing if your subconscious is actively wired to reject them.
The crucial takeaway here is that people systematically blow their own opportunities through these very specific, covert behaviors, and they are completely unaware they're even doing it. This looks like rejecting a great opportunity because it seems, too good to be true, or avoiding a calculated risk because the anxiety of a potential loss totally outweighs the logic of the game. It's a very real, deeply rooted fear of success, and it results in these crazy self-fulfilling prophecies of failure. You blow the big interview, you miss a critical deadline, or you drain your savings account right when you are finally starting to get ahead.
Part 2. Scarcity versus abundance. Rewiring the brain.
Now, this isn't just about being a pessimist. This is a literal biological condition. The scarcity mindset is a psychological state that physically rewires your brain. When you're programmed for scarcity, your brain goes straight into survival mode. It becomes hyper-focused on immediate lack and fear. Because all of your cognitive bandwidth is eaten up just trying to survive today's crisis, long-term planning becomes biologically impossible. You aren't playing to win, you are literally just playing not to lose right now.
On the flip side, the abundance mindset is a totally different psychological framework. High achievers are uniquely wired to tolerate discomfort. They embrace risk and opportunity because they aren't trapped in that biological state of constant panic. They actually have the mental capacity to delay gratification. They can accept short-term discomfort because their brain is capable of processing the reality of a massive future gain.
The divide here is absolutely stark. Scarcity demands instant relief. It desperately needs the dopamine hit of buying something right now to feel safe, or avoiding a scary investment just to avoid the anxiety. Abundance, however, focuses on opportunity and relies on a really high risk tolerance. Guys, these aren't just different attitudes or moods. They are entirely different operating systems dictating completely different financial realities for the people running them.
Part 3. The neuroscience of success, brain biology.
The biological divide is fascinating when you really get into it. On one side, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is your brain's center for long-term thinking, logic, and high risk tolerance. It's the engine of wealth building. But constantly fighting against it is the dopamine system, which demands instant gratification. It's totally risk-averse, it just wants comfort. The dark truth of this explainer is that if your childhood environment was chaotic or heavily focused on scarcity, your dopamine system becomes hyperactive to seek out comfort. And in doing so, it effectively shuts down that wealth-building prefrontal cortex.
Which brings us right back around to our opening hook, age 12. By the time you're 12 years old, this neurological wiring regarding risk, dopamine, and the prefrontal cortex is largely set in stone. The physical, neural pathways that dictate whether you seek out long-term growth or instantly cave to the need for financial comfort, they're already established. Part 4. Identity, the core financial block.
Just let this quote sit with you for a second. People stay poor not because of circumstances, but because being poor is who they believe they are. Wow. Financial self-sabotage is ultimately a subconscious act of self-preservation. Think about it. If your core identity, the one formed before you were 12, is completely tied to struggling or being the underdog or viewing wealthy people as greedy or evil, then accumulating wealth actually threatens your very sense of self. You will unconsciously destroy your own financial success simply to protect the recognizable version of who you are.
Part 5. The Price of Change, Rewiring Your Identity.
So, what does it actually take to rewrite a lifetime of biological and psychological programming? Well, it is a brutal step-by-step process. Step 1, you have to aggressively confront that childhood programming head-on. Step 2, you must consciously and painfully override your brain's biological dopamine craving for instant comfort and safety. And step 3, definitely the hardest part, you have to tolerate the death of your current identity. You literally have to let the person who struggles with money die so the person who builds wealth can be born. It's a massive psychological heavy lift that honestly, most people will simply refuse to do.
Which leaves us with this final, chilling ultimatum. Are you willing to become someone you don't recognize? Because that is the true cost of changing your financial reality. It's not about learning a cool new stock trick, it's about fundamentally rewiring who you are at your core. So the ultimate question is, are you ready to let your old self go?